Holy, 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 Alleluia. Holy Jesus, praise Jesus, Alleluia.
Morning, Diana.
Good.
There we are.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, likewise. Thank you for the um, little text.
Well, yeah, a little flashy thing. I do
Yeah,
that on
that was terrific.
holidays.
Thank you.
Little, what do they call them? A GIF or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing. Just turn on my volume here. Well, looks like, sounds like more stuff's coming up.
Yeah, it was interesting because after our session, you said for me to, put everything to the side and think about the babies. So, a whole huge thing came out. Um, but then I put on my worksheet all the different names and parts and processed them through my stuff and I kept looking at I've had these names to the side for about a week, Kissinger and I forget who it was, but I thought, if I just leave them sit there and I don't process them, they don't really have existence. So I should probably just put like a skeleton of what I know on my paperwork. So I did that. And that just opened up a whole a whole nightmare of stuff. I was like, oh my God. But it took like a couple of days, I think, because I was yesterday on Thanksgiving, I was focused on Thanksgiving, so it just kind of put them on hold. But then at the evening, Chris went to bed about 9 o'clock, and I was sitting there watching an interview of a woman. It wasn't Emma's show; it was a different program. It was a man. I'm not even sure what his website's about, but he was talking about trafficking and how there's, I think 300 and over 350,000 missing children since I think the report was at like a 2022 report. And he's like, where are these children going? So he's interviewing a woman who was an SRA survivor in Europe, born in Belgium. And
I
so
think
she
I heard the
starts,
same. Anna Lucas.
yeah,
Was that
yeah,
her name?
yeah.
I think I saw the same one.
And so I'm watching this, and like, I think there's maybe 45 minutes left of a 2 hour interview. And all of this, and I'm reclined in my recliner and watching Dixie's laying next to me, my legs, and all of a sudden I get this cramp in my calf and my foot, my right foot. The last time with that electrocution thing, it was my left foot, but this time it was my right foot. And it was terrible. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I know people know what a cramp is like, but it was just horrendous. And it took like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to calm down. And I'm just, I'm like rocking and holding it and trying to get it to relax and trying to get it to release. And it just wouldn't. And, Dixie, the minute I started cramping up, she just flew off the chair and was gone. She could feel something happening. And so it finally relaxed. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I could feel myself wanting to start to cry. And then there's another part going, but I want to finish the interview. And I'm like, pause. So I get up and I go in the bathroom. I sit on the toilet and I took my towel and I was hugging it. I said, okay, whatever little person this is, I got you. You're okay. You can cry. You can do whatever. And another part's going, but I want to finish the interview. And I'm like, look, it can wait till tomorrow or whatever, maybe later. And another part's going, but I still haven't had my Thanksgiving pie. And I'm
Oh
like,
my word.
I know. I was like, oh my goodness. I said, no, this little guy has to come first. And so I'm just hugging him and telling him it's okay, look through my eyes, but he wouldn't. And it's like, oh my goodness. And so I never did go back to the interview, but finally when I got that part to come to me here, it was quite a little process. And he was just starving to death. And he goes, well, can I have the pie? And I said, certainly. He goes, can I have the whipped cream too? I said, yeah. So after this meltdown, things calmed down. We went, walk in the dark and go in the kitchen, get some pie with whipped cream, took it back to the bedroom and ate it. And he was feeling happier. But I was like, oh my God. It was intense, but I guess I should do the journals in order. And actually, the parts want you to see this first.
Diana, did you get the memory attached to it?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, I guess I need to share. But it's the graph. And I keep, even with all that political memories I still have nothing for age 9. Age 8 has, this beginning trafficking with Camp David. Kissinger filled in last night too. So 9 is nothing. And then 10 is more political trafficking. Brezhnev from the USSR. I was like, are you kidding me? But yeah. Um, so I just keep finding this interesting. And the only thing I can think might be going on is if I could get my mom's legal documents for her separation and divorce and pinpoint the months and years that maybe some of this is bleeds over into here. I don't know. Or maybe there's just something so awful that happened here. It's still buried. But yeah, this is interesting. And I don't know that this is a picture of Europe, which goes with this stuff. But the name Nevada keeps popping up, and like you said, I said to you, I think when you asked me about it, that someone on the plane said to me, we're looking at the window, he says, there's Nevada. So maybe we were going across country. But as I was looking at this morning, I think that someone said to me on the plane going to Europe, there's Nevada, as a way to confuse me. So I don't know. But there's also this Camp Pendleton, that one Camp Pendleton reference. So I'm still confused about that. So that's what they wanted to show you. So the journals you've seen, well, I think I read this to you. I've just left it open because it's unsettled. I still don't know what part this is. Just saw a person who I think
it
is
is.
me moving around a man on an ice skating rink. I believe I had ice skates on moving around him. Oh, right now they're telling me that this was in Europe, but I was in Europe in the summer. So I don't know. Someone's saying this is in Europe, so I'll just do that to remember. And I just got an image of a hand pulling something out. Then after that, I saw him eating something bloody. After that, then I got the impression that a person was disemboweled. And as they were alive, this man was reaching in and pulled out the tree. I don't understand that, and ate it in front of them. I don't know if that's a dictation error or real. Looked at me sideways and his eyes glowed. Suddenly, the name Kissinger comes into my head. So I think I read those to you before, but they seem somehow
Actually,
tied.
no, that's new, Diana.
Oh, well, they seem somehow tied to these entries because the date on that's 11/14, but the next entry is 11/25. I mean, I read everything to you in between, so I think I may have forgotten to read that one, so I left it out. So I had GI discomfort this morning. I took a nap. Oh, and then I think I told you about this. I astral projected to Melissa's house in my
When
dream.
was this?
Oh no, I forgot. I forgot to read these to you then. Um, so I took a nap. This is the 25th, so 4 days ago, a couple days before our last session. Said in my dream, I astral projected to Melissa's house in Texas. She could see me and talk with me like I was physically there. I loved it. I wanted to do more. When she said, let's go to the military room in her house, that's when I left. And then I have neck pain tonight. My feet are cold too. And then this is when I remembered the John C. Lilly torture. Peg Bed, who is Dawn, is telling me that she was told that she had to sleep on her side and couldn't roll over. This is the special bed, that it was to protect her neck, that she had hurt her neck, and this was a way of protecting it because the part that was tortured, Manny, was unknown to her. She believed it, but never knew how her neck got hurt. She thought they were helping her. So she's pissed off right now because her and Manny are talking now. And I said, okay, TED Talk tomorrow. I believe I did one. They told me I heard it at training camp doing an obstacle course, and it was so bad that's why I did not remember, but that this bed would help it to heal. And I was getting a headache and my feet are warming up. So Dina is the part sitting in that chair getting the MK Ultra, the audio visual stuff. So I just had an image of blue field of vision. It was just like a blue screen. It was weird. Not a room or the sky, just blue, almost like the blue of a 1975 computer screen, kind of antiquated. I mean, from me looking at it from this perspective, now, it's that there was a beige gray square on the top left. Then I had a pain in my right temple, and that same pain come up and then it went back down. It was just a moment when I saw this. So my jaw is tense now. So I got up to go to the bathroom and it was pitch black. I kept wondering, where's my light? I've got a very faint light from a couple of outlets. As I stood there wondering that, I suddenly saw the light in the bathroom. It's just a tiny little thing on an outlet, but it's enough to be like a nightlight. So for a moment, I was in pitch dark. I remember I was just standing there in pitch darkness going, where the hell am I? So I'm going to lay on my left side now and see if my neck and head pain eases. And so it feels better on this side. Dawn just told me that they would keep her on her right hand side so that there would be more pain. It wasn't until most of the night went by and they came and turned her on her left side to give her a break. It was to make her sleep in more pain intentionally. And then I just got to thinking that is my right knee that hurts, and it's also the right hand side of my neck that hurts worse. As John said, the right hand of God, God being the right hand path, Satan being the left hand path. And the only way for me to find comfort enough is to sleep on my left hand side. Also, when on my right side, my right arm is up, shoulder is contracted, causing more pain because you can't sleep on your right side with your right arm down. They did that to cause maximum discomfort and pain. It's a minor pain on the left side now. So, guiding one towards the left hand path, the path of Satan. So, one would choose the left hand path for physical comfort, leading to other life choices in the same direction. That's just what went through my head. So, it's a pain on the right hand side so that you move towards the left. You try to avoid the pain. And so it's like they physically program my right hand, it's my right knee, my right head, my jaw, which is funny because in my dental x-rays, I don't have a whole lot of cavities, but all the ones I do are on the left-hand side, which I thought was always interesting. So I thought, isn't that fascinating that they would choose that? Like somehow I know their logic. Or I guess I'm just figuring it out as I go along. But if you create pain on the right hand side physically, that it will cause you to physically lean to the left. And then that also shifts your thinking to the left hand path as well. Let me get more comfort, more this, more that, more money, more whatever, the left hand path. That's just what went through my head that night. Okay, squish
People are
that.
these people are so diabolical.
I know, I know. I'm like, and so it's like the scientific stuff is also connected with the satanic stuff. It's like they're using the
Right.
scientific technology to get you to move spiritually towards the evil stuff.
Isn't that exactly what the Nazis were all about?
Yeah, I guess so. And so this was Redford was the one that was told to stand down. I did the health checklist. She was clenching her jaw, and she says that Jack grabbed her arm at the same time he made that sweeping hand motions. I think I showed you that, right? Oh my God, right now I just put my thumb in a spot that's sore, the exact spot that Jack did. So he jammed his fingers in there and would go stand down. And so this is after session. So I remember discovering being pregnant with Edward's baby. I was instantly terrified, went into disbelief and shock, and my mind went into all the money issues and all that, the practical stuff. But Edward was nobody that I was going to marry, and I would raise this baby on my own. That was not the most pressing thing. I knew that I would not be able to give that baby a good or safe life. I remember feeling that life inside me. I believe I was about 10 weeks pregnant when I got the abortion. In the procedure room, I felt the life leave my body. I felt the energy leave my womb and move up and out to God. I remember being very sad and crying. A nurse held my hand and said something to comfort me. But in that moment, I knew I had killed life. I steeled myself against it. I knew that it was better with God than with me. I was not safe. That baby would not be safe. I rationalized it later that if I had kept the baby and raised it, that I was not in a financial or emotional state to be a good enough mother, and then therefore my issues would be placed on the baby and the baby would be screwed up. But in the moment I discovered I was pregnant, a panic washed over me. I couldn't allow that baby to be born ever. There's no way I would allow it to suffer the things I had suffered. Now, I believe in that moments in time, these were different parts popping up, going, no way. Says my girlfriend went with me to Planned Parenthood. I believe I paid for the whole thing myself. I remember asking Edward for some money, but he didn't have any. And right then and there, I knew if he couldn't afford an abortion, there's no way he could afford a baby. There was no pushback for an abortion. He just agreed with me and said he didn't have any money. I walked away disgusted. I felt that life inside my body, and I remember bonding with it for a short time, reconsidering. There was always something inside that said, no, no way. In the procedure room, I felt the life leave me. I felt a great sadness and a shame and guilt. God blessed me with life, and I extinguished it. It could not be allowed to happen. I could not allow that child to be harmed. Better me kill it now than a life of suffering, pain, torture, violations. There's no way. Rose, now she's the one that the army took, knew what that felt like to feel life taken from you, then life that you didn't even know was there, ripped out of your body, and to be called a mess to be gotten rid of. Take this mess out of here, is what he said. I've also been thinking about how through my life I always had a very mild, light menstrual cycle. All through my teens, 20s, 30s, very light flow for about 2.5 days. I always thought that was odd. I thought it was cool as well. God blessed me with a mild period. I just thought I was some awesome special chick that didn't have to suffer from the menstrual cycle. I understand now that was because of the damage that had been done in my womb. It wasn't until I reached menopause that I bled like a pig, so much so that I became anemic. The doctor put me on iron pills that I still take to this day. I recall one time, and the doctor told me to stop taking the iron pills. I'm not anemic anymore, but it gives me great nails. So I cut the dosage in half, but I got that Ayurvedic medicine. And I had a woman tell me once, she was a nurse, but she'd come from like India or somewhere where they do Ayurvedic medicine. And she said, well, let me check your iron. And she went to press on my nail. but I had fake nails on at the time. She says, "Oh, I can't do it with you." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And she says, "Well, if your nails are brittle and thin, it means you need more iron." And so when I stopped taking the iron, my nails got brittle and thin. And I thought, well, then that means I need iron. So what is this doctor talking about? So that's why went back on the iron, half the dosage, and now I get these bitch nails. But the minute I stop taking it, they get weak and brittle. So that's my logic for staying on it. So I recall one time going to the bathroom and seeing a large sack shaped like a hot dog and a bun on my pad. It had little round whitish fuzzy balls all around the outside of it. Didn't know what that was. I suppose it was whatever part of my body releasing its ability to have children sitting there on that pad. I think the next day it happened again, except it was in the toilet and smaller. It was literally the size of a hot dog with a bun that fell out of me. And it was a second one the size of a sack, the same way that a hot dog would look inside of a bun, except it was my body there on that pad. And I thought, well, okay, I guess is that what happens to a woman when that you're done having children? It releases some, my body released something. And I can still see it in my mind's eye. I should probably sketch it or something, but
Do you think it's Diana, what year? When was that?
this is probably 8 or 10 years ago. I was in the
Okay.
midst of this massive bleeding, the menopause and the, whatever. And I think it was maybe a year or two after that that heavy bleeding, well, maybe shortly after that, the heavy bleeding stopped. And that's when I started with the more increased hot flashes and bitchiness and all that, So I just associated it all with the same, female end of birthing process or whatever.
As you just described it, these people are so bizarre in their science. It almost makes me wonder if they inserted something in you.
But wouldn't all these years of gynecological exams,
A
they
good
would have
question.
said,
I
what the
mean,
hell is that? You know?
okay. I mean, you'd have a better sense, but when it's,
Yeah, I don't know, but when actually right before you said it, I thought it. So maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe it was made to look normal or natural or something, but I never had any kind of a period like a normal woman would.
you wonder if they align the uterus of these kids with something
I don't know.
so
I don't
that they
know.
don't get pregnant unless they're a
Unless
breeder,
they
quote
take
unquote.
it out or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but it 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 yeah, there was like just visualize a hot dog on a bun, right? And then take the substance of it and have it be like gelatinous, kind of clear pinky, and it was like a hot dog lying on a bun. And I remember staring at it for a good long time on that pad. And I'm like thinking, well, I guess that's what the body does when it's finished having children. It releases something, but I think it's probably more likely something placed inside of me. And then 1 or 2 days later, the same thing came out, except it was like just the hot dog size, or maybe just the bun size. And I was like, okay. And all around surrounding this whole thing was like these fuzzy white, how did I describe it? Yeah, round, whitish, fuzzy little balls around the outside of it. So maybe these things are what had it connect to the body.
Weird, and the almost like an idea, uh,
I wish I'd have
IUD.
taken a picture of it, but
Well, you wonder as you begin to talk to more and more survivors, you wonder if
yeah,
that's
maybe
an
it's just,
experience.
yeah, at a certain point in life it's done. because I know
Because
that
I mean, with how much,
nowadays there's just the nanoparticles and all that crap. I'm sure they had something back then that would do something like that. I don't doubt it at all.
with how much they were violating you and these kids and young people, how do they prevent all these pregnancies? So
And at the
that
same time, with other groups of women, they're breeders and they want the pregnancies. So
that's
yeah,
right.
it's for me because I was supposed to be some sex slave political spy that they don't need me getting pregnant left, right, and center. So yeah, I don't know. So in the TED Talk, because I happened to watch a bunch of TED Talks over the past week or two, like almost all of them, about Gabby being given something that caused the baby to die and just wash out of her. I forgot about that until I just watched it again. I had no idea I was pregnant because my period was so mild and short-lived. It was easy to forget about, not like other women. I believe when I was raped by that jackass at 3 years old, and it tore. Oh, my part's saying right now that's where it was placed inside of you. Okay, toward the inside of me, I had to have stitches change the menstrual cycle that I would have. 3 and toward the inside of me. So I'll just put that's when something was placed inside of me. Okay. That's what the part just says. Okay. That's why when I went from Germany to El Paso, I didn't notice I was pregnant because I didn't have a menstrual cycle to show me. The absence of it was normal for me. So I remember I could go 2 or 3 months without bleeding, and I just thought that was awesome. I said, all I recall was my pants getting tighter, but those people in the army knew I did not. Lying on the table, I was confused as to what was flowing out of me. I asked the doctor, "What is that? What are you doing?" He kind of mocked me that I was a stupid idiot and said, "That's your baby right there." He collected it up, put it in a sack, gave it to the two guards at the door, and said, "Get rid of this mess." And that's what I named that part mess. It was then that I felt the sadness. Until then, I was just confused. Now, this is another. I got pregnant with Jesse while I was dating Jeff Sullivan in Dallas. I was set up by him, with him by Star. Again, the fear. But this time, Jeff had a good job and a good family. He was a good man. I didn't necessarily love him, but I liked him. I thought maybe there was a chance. When I told him I was pregnant, basically the first topic of conversation was abortion. This time he paid for everything. He took me there. This time I did not feel the life leave my body. I think I was numb. There was a sadness because of the hope that I had felt that maybe I could have a husband and a baby with a good man who could support us was out the window. He was not interested. Shortly after that, he broke up with me. I remember feeling like a failure, like I was dirty somehow to him. And just a couple of months after that, he married someone else, someone more appropriate for his station in life. That stuck in my craw when I found out. Why wasn't I good enough? He was the first one that wanted the abortion, and honestly, so did I. Why would I want to have someone's baby when they're not interested in it? Sure, he could have supported me and the baby, but we would just be a nuisance in his life. I was not good enough for him, so therefore my baby would not be either. Better that it be gone. So a couple of years after that, I was back in Milwaukee living with my mom in a triplex, one large apartment on the ground floor and two smaller ones above. There were two young men sharing an apartment upstairs. I knew one of them, Nate. In the basement, I had set up my extra furniture, and so there was a nice little apartment space down there. No bathroom, but basically like a living room setup. Nate and I got to know each other over the weeks, and we were attracted to each other. We hung out in the basement. One time we started kissing and just went all the way. I remember feeling a swirling energy above my womb moving from the outside of me to the inside of me. In that moment, I knew I had gotten pregnant. I was scared, but I pushed that out of my mind because I couldn't face it, and I continued to screw around. This time when I got the news again, I was scared. I talked to Nate about it. He was the one that wanted to keep the baby, and I did not. I said, "We don't even know if we love each other. Are you going to marry me? What would that be like?" He said, "No, but that we could work it out somehow." I just couldn't have it. I wanted a safe, secure husband before I had a family. But there's no way I would have been safe and secure. I pulled away from him. I told him I was going to have the abortion. I believe he gave me some money for it. I went there on my own this time. I remember walking past the pro-lifers and not looking at them. I went inside numb and stayed numb. The baby left me, I should say. The baby was aborted. Left me. I collected myself and went home. Nate checked on me a couple of times, but I brushed him off. I always felt guilty that I killed the baby that he wanted. But there is no safe environment. There's no way I would have a baby unless it was safe. This single mother bullshit was just not going to happen for me. I wanted the real deal or nothing at all. I kept my distance and avoided Nate after that. It wasn't until one winter day I was at work and it snowed so badly. It took me 4.5 hours to drive 10 miles home. I had finally gotten to the last turn, and half a block before, my car slid and got stuck. I was
Oh,
so furious and frustrated. Did you say something?
I just said, oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, we were crawling. It was such a traffic jam. We literally were going 3 miles an hour. Stop for 20 minutes. It took me 10 miles, 4.5 hours in a snowstorm. It's been 4.5 hours just to get there. Stuck a block and a half from my home. I locked up the car and left it there and stomped my way through the snow home. As I got in the door, I was venting to Mom in the hallway, and Nate and his roommate heard it. They came down and asked what had happened, and I told them. They went up, got their coats and boots, and walked over and unstuck my car and drove it home. He was a good man for doing that. He would have been a good father as well. And I denied him that. I always could see in his face the disappointment he felt and him reaching out to me with his eyes. I believe I moved back to Texas that spring. I can't even remember his last name. I'm sorry, Nate, for taking away the baby that you loved. And I'm sorry for not loving it. I had felt that with the first one and felt it be taken away. He could have provided a safe, loving home, but I was not in love with him. I knew any kind of marriage would not work. Above all, I had to be
But to
safe.
what you're experiencing now, think about it, it just really takes a long time to work through grief and loss.
Yeah,
Uh, there's
I
so
was
much to
crying while I was writing this too.
right there's just so much to it, and that's just in normal circumstances, let alone look at on top of everything that was going on to you in your life. So it's just these are so many there's so many layers that have to be worked through. That's why this is
Yeah.
so
Well, and
difficult.
I realized after I wrote this that, and more now as I'm reading it to you, that the parts were coming up, going, no. And I remember with that first, well, the second pregnancy, the one I thought was first, but I remember allowing myself to enjoy being pregnant for about a month. I knew I was going to have the baby. I was kind of vacillating. I knew I was going to have the abortion, but I was kind of vacillating, and I enjoyed feeling it and loving it for a short time. But the parts were like, no way in hell, no way. And I didn't know that that's what was happening until now. So, I said above all, I had to be safe, and I knew that I was not. I had experienced that shooting a blockbuster video and having to clean up the blood and body parts from it. A part inside of me knew that the baby and me were not safe. And this leads me to believe that I wonder if they weren't accessing me through this time period too. A part inside of me knew that baby, so the baby could not be. I'm sorry, little babies. The thing I always wanted most was a loving, safe family, and I never ever had it. I didn't know how to create it. I didn't know how to find it. I didn't even know what it looked like. I didn't know any of that. How could I create one? When I got pregnant with Edward's baby, the thing I was most fearful of was that I was not mature enough or responsible enough, and to have a baby would cause me so much frustration and stress that I would take it out on that baby. And I would make that baby's life horrible, difficult, and unhappy, that it would be me that would destroy the baby that I gave life to. So rather than give it life and destroy it over its lifetime, just get rid of it now. So much evil, so much pain, I could not allow it. I would not allow it. After all, wasn't I used to killing children? How is this one any different? The difference would be that it wouldn't have to suffer no torture, no pain, no terror. It would know my wound for a short time and then be with God. It's just a fetus anyway, not really a person until it's born. I mean, they had that thing on General Hospital where Lulu got pregnant and had an abortion, and they did a whole storyline on that, and everything turned out okay. So this will be fine too. So these are a couple of different parts. I think these are my front personalities at different points in time. So I'm sorry, little baby. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But I would not have been a good mother. I would have taken out all my anger and frustration on you. I would have made your life a struggle. You would not understand me, and I would not understand you. I'd have to work myself to the bone and never have any time for you. And when I did, you would get all of my frustration from life. I would have to fight with your father in a struggle for money. You would be poor and unhealthy and unhappy. I could barely support myself. There's another part coming up. There's always Mary telling me that I don't know anything about children because I've not had any children. Because she has had children, she knows better than me. She denied me loving my niece and nephew. It would have only been over the phone. It's ridiculous. She thinks she's somehow a god because she was a mother, always used it as a weapon to cut me with. And she herself had an abortion with the man she married and had two children with. Just always would say, "You don't understand. You're not a mother. You don't know what you're doing. You're not a mother." After Mom's funeral, she pulled that crap again. This time I let her have it. I told her that millions and millions of women have children every day, every year, for thousands of years, and she had done nothing special. That she has no extra special knowledge or skills or abilities, and to stop using it as a weapon to hurt me with. Such a bitch. Another part. And so I'm just so, so sad and disappointed that I never got to have the loving family that I always wanted or create my own. And that the children that my husband has can't give us the time of day. So disrespectful and rude to us and me. I want nothing to do with them. I got to raise Joe a little bit, but always had to send him back home to a neglectful bitch mother. Chris believes she only had the baby so that she could get money from him for 18 years. That when he met her, she had an abortion from another relationship. That Joe is her golden child because he was the only child that she got child support from. But I did love Joe dearly. It breaks my heart that he can't give me the time of day. It was me who potty trained him. It was me who tutored him for 6 years. It was me who took him on adventures, bought him a pond, actually two ponds, full of fish and an 80-pound aquarium full of fish just because he wanted them. I wanted to teach him responsibility, and Chris would never back me up. I wanted to teach him how to handle money, and Chris would never back me up. I wanted him to challenge Joe's mother over his schooling and different things, and Chris would never back me up. As much as I tried to love that boy and make his life better, it seems now that it was a waste of time. Joe blew us off and ignored us for 5 years, and now he's in the military for God knows how long. I always hoped that he would find a girl, get married, and have a baby so I could love that baby. Even if he wasn't married, I didn't care. I wanted to love that baby, but he can't even give us the time of day. All the effort I've put out in my life with my two sisters, my niece and nephew, with Chris's family, with his children, with my family, all I ever wanted was a loving family, and none of them are interested. None of them. None of them are willing to put in the time, effort, or energy towards it. Everybody's just so selfishly involved in their own crap. But I always gave. I always tried. I always put the effort out. Always got a slap in the face. That as much as I love Chris, he falls short of what I need and want in a husband. He could care less what my interests are. He can't make love to me. He won't even try. This is Willow. He's not interested whatsoever in my SRA struggles. He doesn't ask and I don't tell him because when I do help tell him, he blows up and then I have to handle his meltdown, dealing with my own with no support from him. It always gives, it's always me that gives and gives and gives. I never get back. How much I crave to be held. I loved heart to heart, just face to face and feel love, feel safety in that love. The only time I feel it is with my pets. I want a human being to love me. I thank God every day for Chris because he provides
Diana,
me.
that's such a, you are speaking the words of so many, especially so many survivors. It's such a common, I mean, that's what you've just highlighted right there is such an important thing.
Well, thanks for saying that.
Until somebody feels that or allows themselves to feel that, they're not going to be able to heal. You have verbalized what needs to be verbalized.
I mean, I cry over it from time to time. I thank God every day for Chris because he provides me with a safe, comfortable home and life. He makes me laugh, but it's so hard for him to give emotions, good emotions, too easy for him to give me his negative emotions. But how I crave to be loved in the way that I need it. Chris just isn't able to do that, at least not right now. And I always resign myself to the thought that at least I can love him, that he can be loved in the way that he needs. I'm just sad that it's not a two-way street. He loves me by providing and protecting. I can accept that. And most of the time it's enough. But so many parts inside of me want him to give me what I need. So it's always I stand alone, comfort myself, love myself, give and just wait. None of those men that I got pregnant with could give me what I needed, and none of them seemed interested in finding out what I needed. So I stand on my own and try to give it to myself because nobody else is going to. Doing that work with my inner child 30 years ago began that process. I'm glad I did that. I know I'm capable of love because I can feel it. I can feel my heart open. That's what my cat Tommy did for me. That's what Dixie does for me. I can feel it when I hug Chris's back. Every once in a while, I can feel it when he lets me hug his chest. But I can feel him close down. It makes me sad. But I'm happy for those 1 or 2 seconds that it was there. I know he loves me. It is himself he does not love, so how can he give it to me? I get that, but I get lonely and disappointed and hopeful one day that it will happen. I would do to any baby what was done to me, down, down and down a never-ending spiral because I had no control over my own life or limited control. The parts knew what I had been and was still in, so no way. Perhaps that's why Mary did have children. She had a man who was a good provider and protector. Too bad he was a philanderer. She's so bitter about it now. So I put all the parts in and all that, and I did their health checklist. So for all 13 parts of the womb, and that's it, except for 8 parts that smoke due to anxiety, fear, and sadness. MK issues are, and it's not really MK. I should give this a different label because it's a different set of things that could be MK Ultra or not. Or Emma felt the exhaustion from pregnancy because she went to 10 weeks. None of the others felt it because I aborted much sooner the next time. Emma says that the procedure room was cold and the table was uncomfortable for all 3 parts, Emma, Jacqueline, and Noah. Spiritual issues for Jesse, Natalie, and Emma were marriage, that they had no husband. There were trigger words said by people doing the procedure, and of course, logos all around, music in the waiting room. So all of that was after our session. It's like, my Lord. So I closed that. And I think I talked on and off to Casey. I don't know if I should say her real name with you, or I'll have to talk to her about it.
Oh, that's right. You
I
want
hate that name Casey because it's Chris's bitch daughter's name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Certainly talk to her about it.
25, 28, 27, 26. Okay, so I read, yeah, that one. And I read, yeah, that one. That, oh, no, did I? Oh, yeah, I did read this to you. The Camp Pendleton and the yacht, the ship.
Oh, hold on. You haven't done any of this.
Really?
Very thick blanket, whatever.
Yeah, I'm cold again tonight, a very thick blanket. This is like a week before the one I just read you. Had to wear a blindfold while I was sitting in the icy cold water. I just saw two women talking. They had large glasses on and short.
Yes, hold on. We did. Okay.
I just saw a very large ship, a yacht, and it was coming right at me. I saw the captain in a white uniform and hat. I believe it's a military uniform. The ship was coming right at me, and it startled the heck out of me. It gave me a surge of adrenaline.
We did it. So you wonder, has any more of this come to you?
No, not yet. I think that's probably what happened during this blank spot here. It's a whole
Okay,
year,
because
unless I
here,
have my ages mixed up.
okay, let's go back to this for just a moment then, because it's so profound and realistic, and you look at the
I mean, it was like I was being run into by a yacht.
there you
I don't
go.
know.
Okay, okay. Um, because it's so detailed and realistic. Here, there's something to it. So we got one of two options. Either they showed you something on a screen, so you think about a kid,
Oh,
right? So kind of a special effect. But I tell you what, when you got cold, um, think about Pendleton. Think about I could easily see since this is trafficking. I haven't thought about it till just now. So they're going to use every opportunity to traumatize, to terrorize. So that's always in the mix, of course. You went through such, torture and stuff, but since it's Pendleton, it's right off the ocean.
yeah.
Uh,
It's just the word Camp Pendleton, and that's all I
okay,
heard. I was like,
so
okay,
I
I'll
could
report
see,
it.
it's never ending their degree of demonic, maniacal creativity. How do you continue to do this to traumatize? And so they're going to combine everything.
Hmm.
Um, So what just came to mind is, you take a kid, so you're accomplishing two things. They want to abuse a kid, but they also want to traumatize, so they combine them.
Yeah.
So, the thing that just came to mind, either, a simulator, but since it's out off of Pendleton, I could see them putting a kid in a raft,
Oh my God.
and then they have this, so you're going to be you're going to be trafficked, but they're going to add this other dimension,
Uh,
or they know they're being observed. And so somehow, either with Navy SEALs or something, so they put this kid on a raft, and then the pickup boat is going to come at, but that, and then at the last moment, so they're going to traumatize this kid anyways, or they kind of know where the kid is floating, but they're going
well,
to come
it
full.
reminds me of when, remember I told you about Scott and he had hit one of his sketches and he told me that there were two aircraft carriers and he was in a tiny little boat in between them.
My gosh,
It
right?
reminds
Wouldn't
me
that
of
freak?
that.
I mean, how? Okay, that may be real,
I
and
know,
so with the aircraft carrier, how would you pull that off with all the sailors on board without them seeing this kid?
I don't
Um,
know.
but at the
You have to
same
limit
time,
the amount of people on the top of the ship. I don't know.
okay, so you wonder if this was they're handing you off to somebody. Here comes the boat, since it's a yacht.
And it may have been a military boat, but it was like it seemed pretty. It didn't seem military to me, but the man on board had a white military type uniform. So I don't
uh,
know.
so it just makes me wonder. I mean, if a kid's in a raft, the poor kid's dissociating because of what's going on, utter helplessness, just floating, and
Massive
large,
ship.
here comes this
It's
large
like,
vessel.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like right at me. It was like, I was like, what the hell is that? So I heard it and wrote it down. And
I
as
wonder.
after I finished writing it, then just this voice in my head said, Camp Pendleton. Like, I hurry up and write that down. So, yeah. But it's funny as you were just saying that maybe it was a video simulation, maybe it was real. My parts are going, before you said a little being in a raft in front of a ship, I already thought it. But then my part's like, no, listen to what John's saying, and kind of brushed it off. So as you were talking, I was thinking, remember that, remember that.
What's resonating? The actual,
Is that,
or
yeah,
it's,
it was like a little raft or a canoe or something, and I was coming to be picked up.
and I mean, I can't even imagine. It's such a,
And
I
so
mean,
maybe
any of
that's
us that have
this
ever
time
experienced
period.
because
Yeah.
a large ship is so, if you've ever been, I mean, I've never been other than like at a dock.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
never been on one either.
the
I took a
size proportion is
ferry to
just
Catalina once, but
right. It's just surreal. So, okay, okay. So there more may come up with that.
yeah, and I think maybe I should just give existence to a part called Camp Pendleton and see what happens, the same way I did with the Brezhnev thing. So I'll write that down, Camp.
It's very, I mean, here they're trafficking you, they're flying you all over the place. So there's
And
some,
like you said, that's right. Maybe they flew me from Wisconsin to California, and that's where I saw Nevada. And maybe that's just a mix up I have between a couple of parts.
so this would be different though, because they were successfully able to fly you everywhere by air. So there's
And
something that,
I'm gobsmacked. I would have had to have been away from home so much, whole weekends at a time. And how my mom could, and I realized this yesterday, I think, was how could my mom not know? And I know that she had all that gaslighting and all that stuff, but oh, I just lost my train of thought. But
how could she not know you were gone for days and days and days?
yes, and Angie and Mary and my neighbor guy, my neighbor friend.
Seriously.
And oh,
Now
here's what I
maybe
was gonna
that's where
say was whenever I would talk to my mom about stuff from the past, she would say, I don't remember that. I can't, I don't remember back then. So she had massive blank spots too. So maybe dad was electrocuting her as well and doing stuff to her. I don't know. But I just remember over the years saying, Mom, what was going on during this time? Or what was this or what was that? And she said, Oh, I don't remember, Diana. That's just too long ago.
gosh,
And
well,
it twigged on me. I thought, oh, she's got blanks in her memory. So, maybe dad did stuff to her too, to make her forget or make her shut up or whatever. I know he did the tape recorder under the bed. I know he drugged her. I know he gaslighted her, but maybe in the middle of the night he would just shock the shit out of her for 5 or 10 minutes. Who knows? I don't know. But she had blank spots.
I'm still thinking about the ship kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, why would they? I mean, they fly you everywhere. There's
But why not
dignitaries.
just put me on a helicopter and drop me down? I know.
Okay, so there's something. somebody was not able to either be seen
Oh, I just
or
had a part in my head say it was a scientific ship. I better write that down.
and had you talked about one of those bells,
What, say again? The
one
bell?
of the research bells?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, maybe that was somebody else, but okay. But that almost like those pressure bell, a deep sea kind of.
Well, right now I can kind of hear the bells from, I don't know, what would that be, a harbor or a ship? The dong,
Yeah.
dong. So,
It's interesting that, okay, they're going to use, there's some reason why they couldn't do this on land, right? Because that's a lot of work to go to. You're traumatizing this kid. Everything from,
unless, I just realized, remember you told me one of your clients had that stuff with the dolphins. I wonder if that wasn't what was going on.
oh,
Because there are dolphins in that part of the ocean off the coast of California. So maybe that's what it was about.
Catalina is not too far away.
Oh,
So
and I'm just now seeing that, yeah, we were in a raft. There was, I think, a couple of other people with me, and we had on wetsuits. So, um, in a raft with
they
two
trained you to hold your breath, of course.
wetsuits. Yeah, I think we were in the water doing something. Maybe I'll just put on here
And
dolphins.
then they could get away with that. Nobody would notice because
Well,
here,
and John C. Lilly worked with dolphins. So that would be a reasonable conclusion or whatever.
if they're
So,
training kids to be assassins,
oh, and to be, yeah, like a seal and swimming like a, well, I don't want to say Navy SEAL, but you know what I mean. They
but
swim
that's where the Navy
underwater,
SEALs, that's where the Navy SEALs.
and place demolitions on things and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just wonder if John C. Lilly wasn't trying dolphin stuff with me. And I remember my sister took her kids when on one of their vacations down to Mexico. They had a thing where they got to swim with dolphins, and I remember being a little jealous of them. As a kid, they got to have that cool experience. My part's going, yeah, mine wasn't so nice. My experience with dolphins wasn't so nice, is what they just said.
Do you have a sense of what that is?
Um,
Is that
I
because
don't know, but I'm shuddering.
you had to hold your breath so long? So that's what one thing that starts to become just a theme with a lot of those of you that were tortured in this way, the holding of the breath, going underwater and then almost like
Yeah, you're half drowned.
you have to hold on to this dolphin's fin as it's swimming. And I don't know, it's just something about holding one's breath. Not
Just
only
got this image in my head of electronic devices connected from my head to the dolphin's head. So, devices had to be dolphin.
can you imagine doing this to a kid?
So I don't know if they're maybe trying to do some sort of psychic communication or what, but that image just popped into my head.
Would that think about the remote viewing? Wonder if they were trying to get a kid to be able to see through a dolphin's eyes or something and direct the dolphin. And
Well, I know that who was it? Jose Delgado did those experiments with the bull where it would could turn the
Yeah.
bull's aggressive nature off. So if they had figured out that pathway, I'm sure they had figured out or were trying to figure out different pathways and using different animals. So I know they also used monkeys, a bull. They're farting around with dolphins, so why not give it a shot?
Gosh,
You know, you
something will
can't
come
put
up.
anything past them.
But
Uh,
your image of a ship coming at you, that's probably literal then.
yeah, yeah, because we were in that raft doing stuff. The dolphins, I'm not even sure dolphins swimming around us. I mean, this is just what's popping into my head. Image, electric, okay. I don't know that I was in the water because the electronics wouldn't have worked in the water. I think it was something about they would bring the dolphins to the raft and connect us up and record things. There was recording equipment raft. If it was a raft, maybe it was something just small as a raft, because I don't know that dolphins would come up to a large boat.
Unless they direct the dolphin.
But yeah, there's always that too.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So the next it was the morning. So this is Palmer, who used to be called World Traveler. He was hearing Jack say, John, I found Jack. I found a picture of Jack. Well, I have to show you this. While I was
See this guy.
oh geez, where did I put you?
Chris and I need to have a talk. Who is this guy? We're gonna
Perps. Okay. I think it's
honestly,
in
I
his
think
own
I
folder.
think we can create a nonprofit for right there. There's a couple of survivors that are married to
Oh, here we go.
special ops guys. So
It was while I
I
was it was while I was looking at Nixon's library, his official government library. And this is a picture of is it, yeah, that's Betty Ford. Where they're in this is their Finland trip. This is Jack right here. I was gobsmacked when I saw. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Jack!" And the image that I gotten before that I did a sketch of popped up, and I know it's him because of this curly little hair on the side. In my
see
image, I
that
sketched
badge.
him with.
What badge does he have on?
You can't see it. It's too blurry. I even looked up, Secret Service with a pink badge, or Betty Ford's personal security with pink badge. I couldn't find anything because both of these, and look at how she's looking at him. He's looking at the kid, and she's like, I don't know what's going on over there. And look at her eyes,
There's going to be more pictures of him than somewhere.
something. I don't know, but I looked at all of her security detail. They wouldn't show any of that. Um, Yeah, this is Jack. Except I my in my image, my memory, he's face to face with me. He's got this round face, the pointy chin, the curly hair. Except in my sketch, he's got a mustache that curls to match his curly hair. I even ran and got my sketchbook. I'm flipping through the pages, you know. But yeah, this is Jack right here.
Who is that dignitary? Oh, that's Ford's wife.
Yeah, yeah. Or Gerald, yeah, Gerald Ford's wife. It's not Pat Nixon. Yeah, it's Betty Ford. Now, remember, when she was in the White House with him, she was addicted to drugs and alcohol. So she wasn't all there
You
at
wonder if
all.
he was.
And I thought, my God, is that me? But I would be bigger.
You wonder if
And I
he
wouldn't
was.
be out in public like this.
I wonder if he was part of the Secret Service.
Or maybe he just came along because he was my handler and was given the badge so that he wouldn't stand out.
Look how close he is to the
I
first
know.
lady. Now
I
look at the
know.
guy across from.
So
As a matter of fact,
something,
you've
and here's
got
another
clear.
guy with a green badge. I was looking up these different colored badges. Can't find them anywhere.
Okay, well, that's invaluable because at least
I
you have.
know. Here, let me see. Here's the page. It's from the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library Museum, and it's got the date. This is or this is the trip to Finland. So I know exact, and this was the date that I found in other areas. We were in Helsinki, Finland, official
It's right
state.
in the museum.
Yeah, they've got all sorts of pictures. And I was almost in a panic because it was a day later and I thought, well, I want to look at it again. I couldn't find it in my files. I was like, no. So I go online to look for it again, John. It's not there. It's not there. 2 days after I found it. And I was panicked. I was like, I have to find this again. And then it dawned on me, wait a minute, when you take a screenshot, it goes into a special screenshot file without, it has a numerical label. I was like, look in there. And that's where I found it again. And I was able to capture it and file it and all that. But it's not in this, it's not on the website anymore.
Get
Anymore.
out of here.
No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone, John. 2 days later. I was thrilled that I found it in my screenshot file. So I don't know if you're aware of that. Whenever you snip something, it goes into it goes into a screenshot file plus wherever you put it with your label. I happened to run across that a couple months ago and I was like, oh. And generally I go in there and just delete it because I figure I don't need duplicates. I'm glad I
Right.
forgot to do
Yeah,
that.
I
That
I have plenty
this
of screenshots. That's right.
this
Okay,
is
well,
Jack.
make sure you take a couple of those,
It's
maybe even
backed up
print it.
three different ways.
There we go. There we go. Okay,
That
you're getting
this is
close to
Jack.
right. He's going to be in other pictures.
That's him. I just found it fascinating the way she's looking at him with this forced smile. You know, like, okay, Jack, what are you up to? Because he's eyeballing her, you know.
Yeah, he is.
Betty Ford's just probably wasted or high or something. Oh, isn't this lovely? You're giving me flowers.
He's too close to her. Look at the guy across. I mean, you've got like these
I
in
know,
the key protective points.
I know, I
The
know.
guy's
I
right
just thought,
across. So,
yeah.
so,
And look
so,
at her. She's like, what's happening over there? She's
so
like,
he's
I don't know.
he's part of the security detail. That's all that is.
I know. So I must be where whatever hotel we were staying in, I must be back at that hotel and he's hanging out with, or maybe filling in as security, or maybe he is their security. I don't know. I don't know. But that's him. That is him. The whole body language, the demeanor, everything, even the way his hand is with this finger. Yeah, this is him.
We'll pray that identification
I'm having
happens.
anxiety right now.
Like seriously. And
And
then,
yeah.
I know a number of husbands that maybe what we'll do is we'll put together the hunter becomes the hunted.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I mean,
God even
seriously,
knows if this guy is alive anymore.
I could get into that in one way or
Yeah.
another.
Okay, so yeah, he says Nixon wants her. Dad says President Nixon. Jack says, do you know any other Nixon? If she's good enough for the Queen, Nixon wants her too. So that was that one I forgot to read to you, which I'm glad I realized it because I would never have gotten all this if we didn't talk about it. So, okay, let me close that out. But I was just like, oh my God, that's Jack. It was just screaming in my head. I'm flipping through my sketchbook and I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's Jack, it's Jack. And do you remember, like, I think it was a week ago, you said to me, wouldn't it be funny if you could find a picture of him in some detail doing something? It's like
Yeah.
God inspired you to say that. And I found it randomly, so randomly. I was like,
Gee,
okay,
so
God, God's working here.
yeah, there's going to be more pictures out there of that guy.
Yeah.
That
So, this was after I did the baby stuff.
even around the Queen,
Yeah.
right? Since he played both, he knew how to do the accent. He played on both sides.
Hmm. So I guess we only got 45 minutes. I don't wanna, because the last journal is massive. This is
Well,
GI
okay, okay.
discomfort. Oh, that's right. I astral projected to Melissa's house, neck pain. I read this to you already. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the blue field of vision and all that. Okay, so we'll close that out. 11:26. So this was, come on now. 11:27. Yeah. So I just put this in this morning. So I just saw a man's face straight on and profile, and it was gone. It made me think of Brezhnev. After that, then I saw a young girl about 9 lying on the floor. She's dressed in a cute little outfit with some small boots. She's taking her foot and stomping it on the floor. The odd thing about it is that the image in my mind was that of an animated cartoon. I was like, okay, I recorded it. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but okay. And then the next day, so I know for sure that I was raped by Nixon, slapped by Kissinger, and perhaps raped, and also Brezhnev while he had a demon inside of him. So I created these parts and processed them through my stuff. So this is Nixon, and this is Kissinger case, and Brezhnev is Benjamin. Neck, throat, all sexual organs. Case, face because I was slapped in the face and my mouth from rape. Benjamin knows because the man was smelly. He had mouth and taste from his ejaculate. The jaw because he was rough. The neck from being slapped in the butt. Knees being on my knees and all four sexual organs. And so they were all photographed being raped. All had sleep deprivation. Benjamin had distortion from being drugged. Novali, this is the Turkish prime minister, also had disorientation from being drugged. Spiritual issues for all three were trigger words, phrases, symbols, rules, and obligations. Every single part has these same issues, always. They were all told that it was their duty, and didn't they like doing their duty? Also, hand signals being flashed around the room at the men, at each other, and from time to time at me. So I believe this is Camp David.
Do you
Uh,
remember any of the hand signals?
no, it's just multiple different ones. But I know that for sure that this was at Camp David. So I need to, yeah, I will. So then this next one, come on now. Okay, this happened last night. So this is as I'm watching the interview of, I forget her name, the woman from Belgium. And I felt so bad for her because she looked a little haggard, and she would talk about how she had been in a healing process for 30 years and was helping other clients. And yet she couldn't or didn't verbalize what she needed to do is explain to the man what D.I.D does and how it creates splits and they're amnesic of each other. But she didn't
Yes.
bring that up. And so the guy was like, I don't understand how you can not know. And I'm like, tell him the D.I.D. Anyway, so I just had terrible cramp in my right calf and foot and also my left bottom of my foot. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. After it relaxed, I needed to cry, so I did. I went on the toilet and urinated a little bit. When I did that, I was holding a towel and said, it was okay. I've got them, meaning the part. I'm holding them. They're safe over and over. It was. I got a flash in my mind, a hotel room with a man. He was hitting the bottom of my feet with a flat bat. Now, this isn't like a full-size bat. It's like something you might see a school teacher use on someone's butt back in the 50s or something, maybe about 18, 24 inches long, made out of wood, but like flat, maybe, like this big. He's just whacking the bottom of my feet. I asked if this was Nova Lee with the Turk. At first, I was pretty certain, but then Benjamin, because the day before I put him through my paperwork and gave him existence, I think if I had not done that, this would have stayed suppressed. But then Benjamin popped up his head and said it was Brezhnev. And this is actually spelled wrong. I believe it's. And I was reading this again, and it said, passion of beating the bottom of my feet.
That's what the KGB would do.
So the next memory I had after that was being on the plane flying back to America. They had put makeup on my face to cover the bruises on my face. He had been slapping me as well. And I think that's because I recorded the memory of Kissinger slapping me. So putting it through the process that I have allowed this to come up behind it. Um, uh, I had a hard time sitting comfortably because of the bruises on my abdomen, buttocks, and thighs. It was difficult to walk because my feet had been beaten. Benjamin is crying, and says, I'm sure, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And the dash is me. Benjamin, you can come live with me here. And there's Lake City where you can live with my other parts. It is safe. Come live with me here. He says he doesn't know how to get out. I said, well, you're already part way because you're talking to me. Look around that room. See if you can find or hear me. Find me. See if you can see me or hear me. Look for me. Listen for me. He says he can hear me, but he cannot see me. I said, that's okay. Just keep listening to my voice. I'll keep talking to you as long as you need me to. My voice. Open your eyes. I don't want to open my eyes. It's too awful here. I said, that's okay. Just listen to my voice. Move towards my voice. I'm here to protect you and love you and take you out of that awful place. I have many people here that love you and help you. He says he can hear me, but my voice is coming from a wall. I said, go to that wall and touch it. You can keep your eyes closed. Just feel around that wall. Feel for the good spot on the wall. And I don't know how or why I was doing this. It just happened. I said, keep listening to me and feel for the good spot on the wall. He said that his hand can go through the wall. I said, I'm going to reach out and take your hand. Can you feel my hand? Yes. Can I bring you to me? Do you trust me? He starts crying, and I'm crying in real life. I'm actually both parts at the same time. It's really weird. I said, I promise you, you will not be harmed or hurt here. Feel my hand. Is my hand scary? Can you feel the loving energy in my hand? I don't know what that means. You feel my hand. Do you feel scared? No. I said, just keep holding my hand and listen to me. Can I pull you towards me? He starts crying again. You do not have to stay there. You can leave. And he said, the wall is opening. I said, are your eyes open? Open your eyes. Do you see me? Yes. I'm going to kneel down. It's okay. You can walk through the wall to me. It's safe here. You never have to go back ever again. And this is happening while I'm dictating it. So he took one step and I put my hand on his face. I love you, sweet little boy. He starts crying. He says, that evil man is coming now. I said, you don't have to stay there. You can walk over here. The evil man is coming. I promise you, he will never touch you again. Just walk through the wall to me. Closed eyes, he stepped again. I said, you're so very brave. Another step. Once you walk through that wall, it will close behind you. The evil man cannot see me or hear me, cannot come through the wall. Only you. Two steps. Can you feel my arm? Yes. Just a few more steps and I've got you, and the wall will close. He starts crying again. I said, I hear you. I see you. I've got you. You are safe. He walks through the wall and the wall closes behind him. I have my arms around him and he's crying. I said, "Oh boy, you are so brave and strong. Would you like to come live with me?" He didn't answer. "The evil man is banging on the wall. He cannot come through. Let's walk out of here now." He opened his eyes and looked through mine. We clean up our face, walk through the house to turn off the lights. But he wanted me to turn the lights on in each room to make sure the evil man was not there. So I did, except for the room Chris was sleeping in. He asked me if he could have some pie. So I got him a slice of pie with whipped cream. He told me that he was with Brezhnev 2 or 3 days. He was made to go hungry and be in a cage in a room. He would pull him out and be beaten and put him back in the cage. I told them that since he was starving, just a little bit of food to start. So just a piece of pie right now. Tomorrow we will have all sorts of food. He says that the fat man smokes too, cigars, because Brezhnev's quite fat. The boy from the balcony is dead on the floor in the corner. Evil man goes over and kicks him whenever he wants to. I don't want to be like that boy. I took the dishes back to the kitchen and Dixie went back to bed right next to Chris. With the flashlight, I showed him Chris sleeping. I told him that Chris is a strong, brave warrior and will not let anything happen to him or to me. Chris is our warrior and Jesus is our warrior. I said, "You are safe here now." Brezhnev is a violent man. He would take me and throw me around the room, beaten and hit with a flat bat. He was cowering in a corner as evil man would grab him and rape him. When he ejaculated, Benjamin was put back in the cage. Over and over, beatings, rapes, the cage. Now I understand why that boy on the balcony looked close to death. So a little sister pops up, had lots of makeup put on her before getting back on the plane. People were whispering about her on the plane. She just looked away and out the window. She hurt all over her. So I started having shudders in my spine. I would try to run away from him, but all the doors and windows were locked. He liked catching me because then he could punish me for trying to get away. Always the beatings, and then the rape, and then the cage. I was thrown against walls, against tables, had my feet kicked out from under me, slammed my head on the floor. That's when I was floating around. When I was floating, he was raping me. Then he would hit me again, and I was awake. Now, I thought maybe this was from a concussion, but I'm thinking that there was also drugs involved too, because he told me when I did his health checklist. So there's a lot more going on here. I just suddenly realized that I am the boy on the balcony. I was tied to the balcony as well. But there was a boy because he was in the corner dead. That is when someone came and brought something into the room. I would be tied to the balcony while the people were there. When they left, he would come and get me. So I'm shuddering. "You stay right here with me, beautiful boy." He chopped off some of my hair. So little sister, the next part, couldn't go on the plane with chopped up hair, got a new haircut before she got on the plane. Susan seems to know what would be required to cover up what was done to me, and this is Susan 4. It was summertime, but I had long sleeves and pants on to cover up the bruises, makeup for my face, and a new haircut. I sat in a high chair while Susan put the makeup on me. High chair, mirror on the wall. She seems to be annoyed because I would wince and pull away when she touched the bruises. I did not walk right because my feet hurt. Right now, Pearl is screaming, "Oh, Mama, how can you not see? How can you not see?" Pearl is the front personality at home, and she's angry and grumpy and hurts. Mom just seems to not see it. She thinks I'm making it up or faking it. Maybe because when I was in kindergarten, I would fake sick to not go to school, even though I was really sick. But she did not want to do that anymore. She had me have to go to school. Really mad at her for that. She could see before, but she could not see now. She was angry a lot too. This is during the separation with dad was bothering her a lot during the separation with dad, and dad was bothering her a lot. And then the divorce, dad was really being mean. Mom had to keep going to the judge. Angie and Mary were giving her a hard time too. I was giving her a hard time. Dad was hassling her. That's why later when I got pregnant, I believed that I believed that I would be angry and mean like her and take it out on my children and yell at them. My life was so fucked up that I would make their life fucked up. That's why I thought that. And then I was like, things calmed down. I said, okay, well, we need to say our prayers and try to go to bed. Benjamin says, I'm afraid of the Bible. Brezhnev hit him with the Bible, literally. And I said, Benjamin, I'm going to show you that God is here with us, protecting us. And also by reading the Bible, God is here even more protecting us. Do you trust me? And he shuddered. So I'm going to read now. Keep your eyes open, stay here with me. God will be here with us, protecting us. Shudders. So, John, it was the exact psalm that I'm on was read to him. I was gobsmacked. And what
It
is
was
it?
fun.
It was 135 was read to him, but twisted. And I don't know if you want me to go through it, but it's like he was
So,
saying
which psalm, Diana?
135. And here it is, except imagine that this is a Satanist psychopath reading it. Praise the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Praise him, you who serve the Lord. Praise him, you who serve in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of our God, our God. Praise the Lord, for the Lord is good. Celebrate his lovely name with music, for the Lord has chosen, and I believe he did not say Jacob. I think he said his own name, has chosen Brezhnev for himself. And he didn't say Israel, he says, for his own special treasure. I know the greatness of the Lord, that our Lord is greater than any other God. The Lord does whatever pleases him throughout all heaven and earth, and on the seas and in their depths. He causes the clouds to rise over the whole earth. He sends the lightning with the rain. He releases the wind from his storehouses. He destroys the firstborn. I think he skipped this line. Firstborn in each Egyptian home, both animals and he performed miraculous signs and wonders, leaves out Egypt against Pharaoh and all his. He struck down great nations and slaughtered mighty kings. And then I think this got skipped. Shilon, king of Amorites, Og, king of Bashan. And I think he might have just said, and all the kings of the world. He gave their land as an inheritance, a special possession to his people, leaves out the word Israel. Your name, O Lord, endures forever. Your fame, O Lord, is known to every generation. For the Lord will give justice to his people and have compassion on his servants. Now, this is a psychopath reading this. And I think he left all this out. The idols of the nations are merely things of silver and gold shaped by human hands. They have mouths but cannot speak, eyes but cannot see, and have ears but cannot hear, the mouths but cannot breathe. And those who make idols are just like them, as are all who trust them. O Israel, praise the Lord. O priests, descendants of Aaron, praise the Lord. O Levites, praise the Lord. All you who fear the Lord, praise the Lord. The Lord be praised from Zion, for he lives here in Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. So I think he left out the last two, like, sections, but he was basically calling out to his god Satan and replacing his name in these certain areas. And I was just gobsmacked that Benjamin popped his head up the very same day I'm about to read this thing that was read to him. Just the synchronicities of it are mind-blowing. Okay, so Benjamin, we will talk to John about this. We talk to John tomorrow. Benjamin twirled his hair in the cage. It was the only soft thing. And I do that now. I'll do this, twirl my hair, because I like to feel the softness on my skin of my fingers. He would bite on his nails too. Brezhnev was cutting pieces off the boy to eat. That's when I bit my nails. I could not look away or he beat me. Pain in the back of my head right now. Kids, no, and so I was about to go to bed. No, another part case was at Camp David. He liked to beat too, but he did it in the group of men. Did they want that? So they obeyed. Actually, this was this morning after I woke up. Kissinger was first to rape Flora. All the others followed. He beat her first, then the rapes. Nixon rape in the room, then Kissinger beating, then the finger cuts and digital rape while I was on one knee with the sword at my side. If I did not look at the ceiling or floor, I got hit on the face. If I moved or flinched, I got beat. So he was training me to be beaten if I moved, to just stand there and allow it. I suppose it was a message to all the men under him as well. And I hear him say that if a 9-year-old girl could take it, then so could they. Just obey. I
Who was saying
said it.
this, Diana?
This is Kissinger. I never want to hear no. Got it? Just do what I say. No questions, nothing. So this was some sort of, as they were abusing me and doing all that stuff at Camp David. You remember they had Joshua do the beheading and the disembowelment, and then they had Flora, on one knee with the sword at her side, and they would come up and cut their finger and then digitally rape me. It was like some sort of blood loyalty ritual. And then it was what, a month or two later, Nixon had to resign. So I don't know if Kissinger was setting things up for the next administration with Ford or what. So,
You wonder where, because I don't know the background of Kissinger. I mean, obviously, if he's calling the shots,
well, I know that Alan said that his accent was fake.
well, it was.
Yeah. And I would have to go back and find the Alan taught where he talks about that. But Alan said from where this man comes from, that he it's a put on accent so that he could somehow walk in the circles that he walked in. So yeah, and imagine having this fake accent for like 80 years or something. It's crazy. So this is my stomach is upset. Now I'm having a cramp on my left side under the bottom rib. You know how like you get a runner's cramp? That kind of thing. I believe after Benjamin was starved for 2 days, Susan gave him some food. It was too much at once and his body couldn't take it all in. It made him sick. So Magnolia is the protege of Susan, and Benjamin Brezhnev have bruising. Brezhnev would kiss me and tell me I was his little bushka. I have to look up what that means. When he said that, he would jam his thumb in my side, bushka, bushka, under my bottom rib. So I don't know if it's with a J or a SH. I just saw him sitting in a chair, gripping the end of the armchair with his hands and yelling. Now, along with the pain in my side, pain in my right knee is flaring up, and I'm laying down. Um, I right leg from the hip down to, oh my, hip down to the ankles twitching, and oh, this should say convulsion. Just mild ones. Next morning. Oh, this is what I did this morning. I was sitting in the bathroom and I've got like metal feathers on the wall. Benjamin says a feather was used in the bottom of feet, and if I could feel it, then he hit my feet more with the bat. He said his father did this to him. It will make you strong. It will make you strong. Both my knees hurt today and my feet itch. One of the men on the plane elbowed me and asked, "He got your feet, yeah?" But Magnolia did not understand. She had amnesia. And then Brianna, who was the one with the queen with the head eating the brain business, and Nova Lee is the part with the Turk, were telling me, because I eat hard-boiled eggs in the morning because I don't want to have to cook an egg, right? And sometimes I've been trying to get it so it's not so hard to make it like a soft boiled, but the problem is the shell doesn't come off right when you do that. And so I've been trying for weeks messing around with trying to get just the right consistency. And all of a sudden you know how you'll see those rich people sitting at a table with a hard-boiled egg in that silver cup that holds the egg, and how they'll be eating the egg. And I saw that in my mind's eye, and then I realized, oh, it's the same thing as when you're eating the brains out of the skull. And that's what this is. Soft-boiled egg in an egg cup, like the brain thing. And that was it. It's not enough, but
Do you think
I
that
thought I wonder if they don't, if that's not why they eat their eggs like that. Because it
it's
reminds,
symbolic to each of them?
yeah, like eating the brains out of a human head. I just, and I'm certain now that Brianna, and maybe not Novalee per se, but a part of her as a subpart or whatever you call it, was taken there because I was the one that cut the skull, and I think removed it, and then I would place it back down so when it was time for their ceremony, somebody could just go by and grab the hair, pull the top of the skull off, and then eat out of eat the brains. So yeah, I mean, I knew that with Brianna, but I kind of pushed it away because it's disturbing to think about. But I know that she did it. I can see the saw. It's a special saw. It only goes just the depth of the, because you don't want to cut into the brain, just the bone. So she was trained to do that. And I think that was part of why they took me to Europe because, I'm a sex slave. I'm trained to be a spy. I can cut the head off. And there was another entry before this that, remember, I think I said I was the cutter at this dinner. I was the cutter. And that meant you remember Susan Ford's head was on the table with a couple others, and they're just lolly jolly. And if you look the other way, you can see the I want to say children, and then another part says people. So I think there was children, just various different aged people that had their heads cut open and they were eating out of them. And as that was happening, Susan Ford and these couple other dignitaries, like you said, they were mocking the victims, looking over there. And I was standing over by Susan because I didn't need to be over there anymore. I did my part of the ceremony. So I was going over there to wait for her to tell me what to do next or something. But yeah, I was the cutter.
They really did work on creating
And that's it for journals. Like that's not enough. Anyway, it's just
they
disturbing.
figured out they couldn't really do it all that well with adults making the Manchurian Candidate, but they could sure do it when they started with kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But these are so what do we got? Like 15 minutes. Um These are what I had this part, but what happened was I realized, oh, it's the moment of discovery. Okay. Um, I used to think that this was the part that had the abortion, but no, this was feeling the baby grow inside me. Then having the abortion, feeling it leave me, and then seeing my friend waiting in the waiting room for me and me being relieved she was there. And then the next baby is here. It started with discovering it. I was kind of hopeful because, he was a good man. He made money, whatever. And then, oh, he's rejecting me, baby, and wants the abortion, which I always thought this was the abortion part, but it's not. And this was being not supported by Jeff. I remember him being in the waiting room, and it was kind of looked like that, like, kind of, a little contrite, but a little more uncomfortable that he has to be there at all. And then confusion and sadness because now he's dumping me. And then finding out a couple months later that, oh, he's getting married to someone else. Wow, look at that. So those are those parts. And then This is, oh, right, here we go. So this was with Nate, and he kind of was feel the creation of life, scared and think no way, decide on abortion just in my head in the instant I felt it, telling him, giving him no option, like closing my heart and having the abortion. And this was walking in there alone. I think I was sitting in the waiting room is how I was relating to this picture. And then avoiding my ex-boyfriend neighbor after the fact because he was trying to be supportive and comforting and I just couldn't even face it. So those were the abortion parts. And then I'll take you back to, let me see if I can, who is it? We'll go to case. Oops. Well, F. Let me see. Next here. Okay, so it's so there's Pearl. Seduce that openly, get hit mom to divorce him, stop the abuse. So Pearl is the front personality at home. Now we go to camp. So I'm raped by President Nixon in that room. And look at this picture. It just was, yeah, disgusting. So I have to imagine that's me. And then next slap, raped by Kissinger, Secretary of State, for both presidents. So I'm thinking that Nixon was setting the stage for Nixon's minions to become Ford's minions because a lot of them stayed in their positions. And then Flora was, trafficked and raped by Nixon and staff. And Jonah was I think Jonah comes before Flora, but I can't quite sort it out yet. He's the one that did that stage show, it's the tribal music and all that. And then, okay. And so there's like a year and a half missing before we get to Susan Ford being the protege. And then I'm on Air Force One with Gerald and Susan Ford. And, he sticks me in an ice bath so that my muscles are all contracted. Be frozen and raped by Gerald Ford. And that was where he put his leg up and I had to give him a blowjob. And then I put the Air Force One that I knew with the black nose. And now Brezhnev comes in, raped by demonic Leonid Brezhnev. So this is Benjamin. He picked this picture. He wants a gun. And then Nova Lee was the Turk. So this is the Prime Minister of Turkey, Süleyman Demirel. Remember I told you this, the Solomon thing, Trump killed the one guy in Iran and Octomom, whose last name is Suleiman. That name always just kind of stuck with me, and I never knew why, and now I do. And then, oh yeah, so that's the last part so far. Oh, I have to show you these pictures. This is Brezhnev, Leonid Brezhnev. He's like the head of the Communist Party in the USSR. Look at these pictures. This
Oh
is
gosh.
at a meeting, okay? Remember this guy's face, okay?
Oh gosh.
Totally different guy, okay? Another one. So if people don't,
Everybody's looking. Everybody's looking away.
I know. So if
Who
people
is
don't
that
think
guy?
that these people aren't twisted, here's some pictures.
Who's that guy on the right then?
I don't know. They don't really tell you, and when you click the link to visit the site, it's just the picture with nothing else. Yeah,
All the
but
look at Charlie. He's looking away.
look at all these medals. So these are dignitaries. Here's another, yeah, these are totally different people. So Brezhnev, he don't give a damn. He'll just do it out in public. And I think that, I mean, He's bisexual, pedophile, Satanist. I was gobsmacked. And they're just all, and this is Google Images. Google. So they don't even care that this is out there.
The Prime Minister of Egypt at the time.
I don't know. But I was like, are you kidding me?
Anwar
Look at this.
Sadat almost looks like.
I mean, and like that, I mean, they're like a man and a woman kissing. I mean, there could be tongues involved. You don't even no idea. I was like, are you kidding me? So I snagged all these images and put them in a file. But this is Brezhnev. And look at him. He's like, yeah, look at that. Yeah, he's loving that. And this guy too. Oh,
Brzezinski? Is that Brzezinski over on the
here?
left?
Oh,
On the
back
left,
there.
the guy you were just talking about, far left.
Oh, no, that's not
No.
Brzezinski.
Okay.
But I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I was gobsmacked when I found all these. And this one in particular, you think like tongue is going on there, you
Yeah.
know? And they don't care who's looking. This guy's looking away. He's enjoying it. He's looking away. This guy wants to see more. Unbelievable. Or no, it is believable. It's disgusting. Mm. But
Well,
here's the progression of events. I kind of figured this out. Is Ford does his normal stuff with me, and the impact is like, I don't know, -8 or something. Yeah, -9 maybe. Well, Brezhnev brought in a demonic aspect and the beatings and stuff. And he takes me down to like 14. Well, when this guy comes along, this Turkish guy, apparently he's like a big deal. He was more evil, had more nastiness, because we were down to a -16. So it's like they put me through the progression to get to him. Unless there's more after it, I don't know. But I was just like, I kept thinking of this map of Europe. I'm like, should this, I know that this is in Finland here. But Novalia, I don't know if this is the United States or what's going on here, but Air Force One took us everywhere. Well, the part is saying to leave that there. So, but yeah, it was this progression in Europe night after night, which moved me from one person to a worse person to a worse person. It was like
this just came to mind. Gorbachev, or with his birthmark,
yeah,
and he ended up being in charge of all things, the
how do I spell?
Presidio, and
That's by Camp Pendleton, isn't it?
that's where
Or it is the Camp Pendleton.
Aquino and the Presidio abuse happened. And I always wondered why was Brezhnev located when once
You mean
both the
Khrushchev?
Soviet Union fell, he came over to the US. Why was he permitted to be over here?
Well, Alan talked about that there was first what they did was they introduced him on the Queen's arm, and the Queen took him around, I think, all the Western nations and gave him softball questions, and the idea was to soften up his image. His purpose was to introduce the conservation movement after, let me
That
think,
makes
where did they come from? The communists turned into the
right.
conservation
That's
movement
right. And
so
it
that
was a
they could
slush fund.
infiltrate society through climate change and the
Right.
left, the Democratic Party. And that was his role, was to create the environmental movement. And Alan used to talk about this quite a bit. He said that Brezhnev, or not Brezhnev, Khrushchev wrote a book, and in the book he says, you know, I am an atheist myself. And then he says at the end of the book, or near the end of the book, he talks about having to create a new religion for the planet, a religion based on a form of earth worship. So basically moving the world into paganism again, which would be Lucifer's goal, right? And get it away from Christianity. And they were going to infiltrate it through the conservation, and that was just one of the paths that they did it. And so that's what Khrushchev's purpose was, bringing him over here, giving him the Presidio. The Presidio closed down, and that's where his base now is.
That's where the kids
Right.
were
So it
abused at
was,
the daycare.
and Alan used to also talk about the foundations. If there's a book called Foundations, Their Power and Influence. In there, they talk about how the foundations, the Ford, the Carnegie, the Rockefeller, all these foundations, that in the 50s, the Congress did an investigation into why these foundations are so, infiltrating stuff. And Norman Dodd has an interview out there. I don't know if you want to watch it. Norman Dodd. He was the investigator, and he found out he was talking to the heads of these foundations, and the head of the Ford Foundation told him, he said, it's because our job is to blend the communist and capitalist system so seamlessly and so smoothly that no one will notice. And they've been doing it since the 50s. And so the Cold War, even though we're fighting against communism, here in the States, our universities are being infiltrated by communists. The entertainment industry, if it all wasn't already infiltrated, and all and get into the school system and get into all this. But their job is to so seamlessly blend the two together. So what we were doing in on the news, oh, we're fighting communism, but under the veneer, that social veneer, they were infiltrating America. And there's also a defector from the Soviet Union called Bezmenov. He came here, wound up living in Canada. I guess a bunch of defectors went to Canada, but he's got YouTube videos all over the place talking about how exactly they did it and the steps that they did it in. So if you ever want to watch Norman Dodd or Yuri Bezmenov, you'll learn a lot about the communist infiltration into the Western countries, particularly America. And the thing that's fascinating to me is that Alan would talk about, he says, yes, they want the LGBTQ trans movement, all that to come into the Western world because the Soviets know that it will tear apart your country. It will break your country down. And so that's why the Soviet Union forbids it. So they are attacking us with the very thing they know will break down our society while at home protecting their own, country or whatever. So it's all very orchestrated worldwide. And our presidents, I mean, if you can't look at these pictures of this, these dignitaries with medals and signing agreements, this is the Helsinki Accords happening right here.
You're going to have to share it. Sorry, Diana. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. This
Yeah, no,
is,
that's okay.
the pictures I showed you. This is where the Helsinki Accords were going
Yeah,
on.
there we go.
And
That's
so
right.
I think that part of what the Soviet Union's concessions were was conditioned upon how much they could please these freaks. And I think I was part of the package where he got to have me for 2 or 3 days and have his will with me. Okay, thanks, Amira, for giving me this kid to
That's
torture
right.
and rape, and I guess I'll sign your agreement now. Even though they were going to do it anyway, it was like a bargaining chip to play whatever games they play. I'm just gobsmacked, and I'm so glad that I did Alan's transcript so I could understand, oh, the context of what was going on in the world. Oh, okay, I get it. So yeah, God was very deliberate in how he, educated me the past 20 years so I could get to hear and understand. So I wish that everybody out there could have that 20 years of learning, but they're not gonna.
That's where you're coming in. because you're
Well,
giving the highlights of
yeah, I mean,
stuff.
but yeah, I guess if when I air this session, I'll put the links for Yuri Bezmenov and Norman Dodd, but they talk about that it's an intentional communist infiltration. It's done through the foundations. And if you read another book called Foundations, Their Power and Influence, it talks exactly how they do it and how board members of you could have 20 or 30 different foundations. They're all heads of them. They're all connected. They're all in cahoots with each other. And it's this the elites trying not trying it's their slow gradual plan to control the world, eliminate Christianity, get Christ out of our minds entirely, and have it be a Luciferian world, just an evil, awful world, and Satan can feel happy that he's now God, which will never, ever, ever happen, but that's how they do it. From the moment, Satan fell. It's just a slow progression of events through the world to eventually twist the world and become Satan's. And I think this whole what is it? The transgender movement, I think, is a preliminary step to get people to think of their bodies in different ways so that they can move them into I can't think of the word right now, the movement to merge machine and man.
Transhumanism.
Transhumanism. So if you can
Yeah.
get people to grasp and be okay with transgenderism, well, then we'll just go to half man, half human. And you'll lose your consciousness, become a member of the Borg, and they'll control us with computers. And I
Jennifer
think
Billig.
that's Satan's last step.
Yeah, Jennifer Billig has done a nice job following that. I mean, focusing on the
Yeah,
transhumanism.
Melissa's got a few people she interviews, so they're hot on their heels. And there's also another website, a guy who's been tracking it for like 20 years called Nicholson 1968. He hasn't put anything up for years, but he's got a wealth of information and he's at I would call him a brilliant filmmaker. They're not films, they're little documentaries, but I think he was in the industry and knows how to make documentaries. But he combines music, movies, symbolism, the Bible, just all of it together to show you this is Satan's plan for us to take us to become not human and therefore kill God. Because if we're not human, then we're not godly anymore.
That's right.
We're not
Well,
God's image anymore.
and it's all toward ensuring that there is no death, right? Because that's the ultimate thing.
Yeah, but not for the average people, for
No,
the
that's right.
bigwigs above that
That's
control
right.
it all. They're going to tell us it's for us.
That's
Oh,
right.
do this and you'll live forever. But no, they're going to kill us off at 30 or 40 when our usefulness is over.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know, do you got a client waiting or?
I do have a client, but I tell you what, it really reminds me of anybody just like the survivors, any therapist or something, anybody that starts to connect the dots. So I'm glad that with my new computer, it seems to, I've got the majority of I've lost a lot because I had it in document form. I had it in other, but I think I've got the majority of my stuff back. So I'm
Good.
starting again in earnest, and it may take another, think about how much work I still have to do because I have to.
Gonna say, do you know when you're gonna put anything up?
Well, it's gonna, I really, unfortunately, I think it needs to happen in about a 3-day successive fashion with these different
Right.
parts.
You don't want to not be
So
finished.
that's going to, it's still probably a month and a half away because I've got the crux
So
of
it'll
what
be
I'm
around
doing
the
is,
time Trump takes office.
okay, right.
So
So
maybe that's
it's,
like, God's
it,
plan or something.
that's right. It's not just, I'm exposing every single one of these individuals, plus I'm adding one more in there that I know was behind the scenes. The guy that's been the push behind men breastfeeding infants.
Oh,
So I've got an entire expose, but I'm exposing every one of them. So there are documentaries within documentaries, as it
okay,
were.
good. I'm so
But then,
excited to see it. I can't wait to see
yeah,
it.
but then showing what are they really what's behind this? And it's ultimately the pedophile agenda, the pro pedophile agenda. So that's what I'll be exposing along with me gaining my credibility back. So
I've been meaning to ask you, have you had to stop doing your work with the guys in the prison?
I lost my contract.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's been costly. They were very effective because once they got the state to accept the
That woman.
investigation,
Yeah.
right? Then they were able to take that and go to the parole board. But I'm still, I won't tell the perps. I won't tell them where, but I'm still doing sex offender treatment. But
Oh,
they then
okay.
went to the parole board or yeah, the agency to say, Euler's under investigation. Well, it's the investigation they started. And so they were able to, all they needed is some agency to accept a spurious investigation to be able to take that and say Euler's under investigation.
Yeah, and then just tar you again. Yeah. All right. I
So
was curious. I thought, because I know you told me that some of those prison guys were getting help and it was changing them. And I thought, well, how sad if that had to stop.
yeah, that's right, and that's part of what
So
I think the perps have infiltrated
everything,
every sector, including
everything.
especially right, especially sex offender treatment, because then they can lower
Let
the
them
risk
out on the
level.
streets to do more. Yeah.
There we go. That's what this is all about.
So hopefully, yeah, maybe it'll come out around the time Trump takes office, and then you'll have protections in place or
So
something like that. Who knows? So
I know.
anyhow, yeah, I don't want to hold up your next guy.
Well, let me pray. You're doing a
Okay,
wonderful job.
thanks.
Lord, thank you that Diana and I can still work together. Lord, continue giving her insight into all these different facets of things that are coming up. Lord, thank you for her dedication. Just continue to be with all the parts as they're having to deal with the shockwaves of all this. And Lord, continue the move that we sense you're doing worldwide now, that there's awakening and survivors are able to come forward. So we'll trust that you're going to unmask all this darkness and hold these perps accountable. So thank you that you are a God of justice. And we pray that the survivors are able to see justice sooner rather than later. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, John.
Okay. Well, we will talk next week.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. Send,
I I will.
any new stuff that comes up, send it over.
I will. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Lord of Lords, King of Kings. Alleluia. Glory, glory, great majesty. Alleluia.